Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? So this week, I wanted to first of all hope you had a great week, and this week I really there was something like I was so yeah still talk to clients and still consulting, but there was something interesting that I was able to pick up this week, right? So besides the fact that like a lot of people are starting to feel the pressure, right? There's a lot of uncertainty going on. I work with some e-com clients who are like, this whole thing of manufacturing is getting, the lack of predictability, being able to actually go in and predict like, hey, what a tariff is going to look like, how long is it going to take? We're entering like the fourth quarter, which is like the most, for a lot of people, it's people are primed to buy. This is one of the most profitable quarters of any business, right? Of most businesses, I would say, not any business, but most businesses. This is the time they really gear up to actually boost those margins and make a lot of sales. But with a lot of uncertainty, like people don't know what it's going to look like, right? There was definitely the government shutdown. I think there's also going to be like some effects that we won't even be able to put into context, until after some time has lapsed. Like I think they were saying, I think predictions like it's in the billions, just for those 40 something days that the government was shut down, the loss in terms of productivity in terms of a lot of things is in the billions. So nevertheless, I came across this article by Wall Street Journal, right? And one of the things that the debate was around was the debate that was actually being articulated here was about education and student loans, right? Now, for a long time, like student loans were like the whole essence of student loans, and you can go through this. You can go through this article. It's talking about like how student loans were actually able to help a lot of people, actually be able to afford college, because college was like for a lot of people it was really expensive, right? So student loans was one way. They had low interest rates, for student loans, and people are able to actually go get those student loans, and then with a couple of years you could be able to actually pay your student debt, right, from what you are earning from employment, right? And this is hoping that you don't adjust your lifestyle. Like when you get your first job, like you really double down on paying your student loans. Like you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses of adjusting your lifestyle. You're living a very modest life, until you take care of those student loans, and then maybe now you can adjust as your earning capacity goes up. And it worked for a lot of people, right? And I think at one point, the way the education system was, well, a couple of factors. You can't completely say it was just the interest rates that were crazy, and the mountain of, because if you lapse on one payment and then it snowballs, right? Because the interest rate actually accrues, and that interest rate sometimes, if you don't take care of it, it comes out to actually, if you compute it, it comes out to actually to outweigh even the principal over time, right? So a couple of things that I believe that are actually steering this situation, right? I think the first thing is definitely jobs. So there was this, I saw this guy, Akash Gupta. So there was this graph, a very interesting graph, right? So you look at how jobs were like almost in parallax with S&P 500, and back then, like, hey, if you went into a career, like you went into computer science, there was some degrees that you were guaranteed to actually get a job, right? So this is one aspect of it, whereby, hey, as productivity goes up, as like OpenAI and all these LLMs are coming in, and automation is now becoming is snowballing, right? The jobs are going down. So now imagine, like, hey, if you actually borrowed to actually go to pay for your education, and you knew you had like a solid about 30 years, or less, let's say about even 20, your working lifetime, right? You would work, because back in the day, it wasn't outrageous. It was the norm. You could stay at a job for 20 plus years and then retire at the job, right? But now, those situations have changed, right? So now, even though you imagine like you're halfway with your student loan, and then all of a sudden lose your job because the market is now very volatile. It's changing, right? It's very, very volatile. It's changing. Demand is changing. how consumer behavior is changing. So as consumer behavior changes, guess what also happens? Like, hey, some businesses, even if we want them, even if we wish, some businesses are just not going to survive, right? Simply because of the way they're structured, right? It's not structured for the behavioral changes, especially with a lot of automation, thanks to artificial intelligence and robotics and things like that, right? A shrinking in population, right? Population growth, that also affects all these things, right? And then depending on the field, definitely. So all those things are really, really impacting. Like, hey, the core question of, is it even worth going to college, right? Should one even go to college, right? Is it because the whole idea, think of it like, hey, you were buying low, selling high. Like you were investing in yourself, in your education, and then you would you would up your earning capacity, and then now you would be able to pay off the loan, and then whatever comes after that is all profit, right? But now the question is, like, if LLMs are now allowing you to do even no code, build no code apps and things like that, is education really valuable, right? Is it valuable? Is it a scam, right? And that's a very good question, right? And I think the answer to that is, it all depends. It all depends. I think the naive part is to think that all education is equal, like we're independent of what type of major you're approaching in college. Like, all of them are not going to be created equal. And I think the key thing is to start, first of all, there's actually a really great analogy. I think it's called Ikigai, right? It's actually called Ikigai. So the Ikigai diagram. So the first thing to really look at is, so this is the diagram, the Ikigai diagram. And I think that's a really pivotal part to actually start with, because I can't tell you whether it's going to be, no one for sure can tell you that, oh, education is a waste of time, or education is very valuable, or you should go for this degree, or you should go and become a doctor, or an engineer, or an accountant, and you should stop wasting time with psychology and history. But I think it all just depends. It depends with, number one, the Ikigai. So I would reference the Ikigai diagram, right? So the first thing is, you look at, hey, what do you absolutely love, right? What are you passionate about? What is the market trajectory looking like, right? What does the world absolutely need, right? What do you feel like you could absolutely do, because you're being paid for it, right? Because the whole thing of passion, like, oh, just do what you're passionate about, that's delusion, right? That whole thing of just find your passion and you'll never work in a day, like, that's delusion, right? Because you have to figure out how do you actually align what you're passionate about with what the market is willing and able to pay for, right? Because a lot of times people say, oh, just get passionate with what you do, you find a way. You're not going to find a way if you didn't start with the primary question, like what problem are you solving that the market is willing and able to pay for? Then that delusion of just be passionate about what you do and you'll never work in a day, you'll be making money, like, forget about that, right? You have to be, first of all, you have to ask the primary question, what is the trajectory of the market? And again, it's hard to predict, but without a doubt, you can see the patterns, right? You can start seeing the patterns. You can start seeing the patterns, like, hey, what is not changing, or what behavior are people adopting to because of all the changes? So those are great questions to ask. Hey, what are people not paying attention to that you feel is absolutely important, right? Because by the time it gets to the masses, by the time, like, the masses actually know of what's going on, right? It's no longer the hot, perfect opportunity, right? It becomes common knowledge, right? The market sophistication has already gone through that cycle, and so you're not really finding something unique, right? It's not unique by the time the market, like, for example, if by the time now you're getting into crypto, like, if you start hearing discussions with, yeah, I need to buy crypto. Like, it's not the moonshot that it used to be. About 10 years ago, a couple of years ago, yes, there was nobility in investing in crypto, right? I think there's still opportunity, but if you go blindly because, oh, the masses, you're moving with the masses, I think you're missing out on an opportunity. So the first thing is definitely, hey, start with, hey, what do you absolutely love? And more important, what is the market willing and able to pay for? Because, and the problem that you're going to solve, there has to be willingness and ability. Because a lot of times you'll hear people will go into, oh, this is the problem I solve, but it's not relative to ability or willingness. You're solving a vitamin problem, where, hey, now you have to go to the market and convince them they absolutely need this thing that you're working on, when they don't really need it because it's a vitamin. It's maybe an avoidance thing, and you have to educate them on the problem that you're solving in comparison to, hey, are you solving a problem that they're feeling the pain, like the migraine pain, the pain that needs an aspirin, right? Are you going to the market with an aspirin solution, or are you going to the market with a vitamin solution? Right. And then is it something that you have absolute internal knowledge about, domain knowledge, right? Because plenty of times you'll be amazed at how many people actually go in to a vocation where they they want to come up with an idea. I think with the way things are going, with the student loan debt, with the trajectory of jobs, and this is just one LLM. It's just using ChatGPT. I think they'll get to a point where now, if you look at where the trajectory is going, right? Like all commerce will start happening on these LLMs. You heard about ChatGPT now having PayPal and Stripe. So now commerce is people just be buying directly from those LLMs, right? And people be using it now. We're still at general AI, right? Where it's still getting information based on all the data points and all the knowledge that we've given it, right? But now it's eventually going to graduate where it's going to get to synthetic data, where now it's becoming what is it called, AGI, right? Where now it's becoming extremely intelligent, right? Singularity. If you know about it, we're getting to that point of singularity where now it's become extremely intelligent. It's way more intelligent, and it's doing its own thing, where humans now are more like, hey, helpless, right? We're completely dependent on these LLMs. Like, that's coming. It's not coming in the near future, but we're trending in that direction. So I think there's a couple of things that you can do to hedge, right? The first thing is to completely start understanding like the mechanics of because LLMs, I believe, are tools. They're still tools, right? The one thing that's not changing is the human behavior, right? Human behavior, the signals we respond to. That's embedded in our deep evolution, right? It's part of who we are in our physiology, right? So that's the only thing that we'll change to, is the signals that we adopt to, right? But the way we adopt to, like curiosity, emotion, and anger and frustration, and wanting to solve problems, right? And wanting to live a comfortable life, right? And optimizing for safety, like that human aspect is not going to change. Now the signals that we respond to, those will definitely change, right? It used to be radio. Now then it went to the internet. Now it's LLM, next is going to be robotics. Like the signal is going to change, but the modality of how we interact with these signals is still deeply embedded in human behavior. So I think more than anything, everyone should absolutely start thinking about a business. Even if you're not business oriented, I think you're going to be forced to have to start thinking about a business. And the way to start thinking about a business is to come up with ideas, right? Come up with ideas that the market, start looking at the pattern. Pattern recognition is probably going to be your biggest strength, to start seeing, hey, what are people overlooking that is important, that is a problem that they're going to face now, or they're already facing it right now, right? They're already facing it right now. And how can you position yourself? Because positioning is going to be key, right? There's a couple of things you can do to actually start earning those positions, right? Artificial, what is it called? Answer engine optimization, right? To start positioning yourself and answering questions, and then making sure you have the right schema in your sites, so that now you can be easily discovered, right? And get the positioning. Because a long history, from back in the day, right? The opportunities went to the people that had the positioning. If you had the position, if you were the king, your life actually was considerably much, much more comfortable than the person who wasn't a king, right? You had better opportunities, you had more resources coming to you, just because of the positioning. So I think more than anything, excuse me, more than anything, I think it's a perfect time to actually start earning that position. And the way to earn the position is to start finding, hey, using this Ikigai, like ask these quick questions. Sometimes you can even just go in, like based on your correspondence. You could go to your email. If you have Gemini, I did this the other day. I went to all the responses that I have, like with the clients via email. And I just wanted to ask Gemini, hey, on the email side, there's a place where you can definitely chat with Gemini. I just ask Gemini, hey, based on all the correspondence, all the emails, like what is my strength? What am I really good at, right? and it's interesting to get that perspective from an LLM that's collecting all the data. I think in the long run, Gemini is going to win as the LLM, and the reason why is because I think they've collected data over such a long time. They have the largest data set, right? Remember, Gemini is Google, and they've been around for a long time, way before OpenAI. Remember, OpenAI is still trying. They're still trying to figure out the monetization model. I think they haven't even broken even. I heard Claude just broke even. Gemini is profitable because of the advertiser from Google, and they have the largest data set, right? They've been collecting data from people for over 20 years. So now they have the better training models, right? Because they've been collecting data. It's easier for them to predict, right? So yeah, so I went and asked Gemini, hey, from the email side, Gemini is linked to your email. Just ask it like, hey, based on all the questions and answers I keep on responding to, what is my strength, right? What am I really good at, right? What should I ought to actually pursue, and how does that align with market demand, right? And is this a problem that people are willing to pay for, willing and able to pay for, right? And then sit back and start building upon that, right? And then from there, now start positioning yourself, because once you get the position, it's just like, hey, and by the way, the behavior of how people actually purchase now, and I think it's going to change even more. It's not based on the person who's running ads or whatever. Yeah, that could give you the positioning, absolutely 100%. But I think what's about to happen too, it's going to be a referral industry, whereby people are it's going to be more referral than anything, whereby referral from the LLMs, referral from people that have worked and interacted with you, referral from all angles. And those are the people, like I said, that have the positioning. Those are the people that are actually going to enjoy the most. So hopefully this helps. Again, I think Saturday is a better time for me to actually record these videos in comparison to Friday, because Friday I'm exhausted and I don't want to have to shoot a video. But Saturday I can take my time. I could go in and record a video, have deep thought about what to record, and then I can share something that's well researched, and I can align my thoughts and really think about what I want to talk about. So if you love this video, yeah, absolutely subscribe to the channel. If not, don't subscribe, please. And what I'm doubling down now on going into 2026 is literally to start boosting up my sites and literally getting that AEO. Right. So that's the first thing. Like, I'm not even going into consult. Like, I'm still doing consultation in my day job, but what I'm doubling down on is to boost that AEO, right? And get that positioning, right? So there's two things. I think AEO is definitely going to be on the radar. Getting that positioning in preparation before people start optimizing for answer engine optimization or artificial intelligence engine optimization. And all that means is, hey, because the behavior is also changing. You have to notice, like, people are now not going to Google to ask questions, right? That was search engine optimization. So you put keywords, context, behavior, how long people are staying on your site, things like that. But now behavior is changing because of all these LLMs. People are using Gemini, and people are using ChatGPT now has its own browser. So guess what? People don't want long stories. They want you to get to the point. And one way of getting to the point is anticipating what type of questions they're asking. And if you could get ahead of that curve and start putting out content that's addressing anticipated questions, then you'll get the positioning. Once you get the positioning, now solve the problem for them. And then once you solve the problem, now it's just how do you leverage that proof? Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Take care. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Talk soon.